So good morning, everyone. All right, so I know I have 10 minutes, so I'm just going to keep this short. So we're not going to talk about security configurations and some of the behaviors in terms of security at home and the vulnerabilities. So my name is Bright Gameli Mawudor. I lead the Managed Security Services for Dimension Data East Africa, for when it comes to managed security services. So I basically try to make sure that organizations and people are safe, and we have an assortment of who we are in terms of the services that we offer. But I take care of intelligence security division when it comes to managed security services. What you're trying to see right now, we are not just facing hackers who can create malware and the likes. We're facing a whole ecosystem of people who actually have a planned way of getting to cash out, how they're attacking infrastructures. We saw a lot of things happening to people when the pandemic hit. Everybody getting home, and we'll see some of their how some of those are affecting businesses. The hacking that we've seen it's going now way beyond just software based. There's also a lot of hardware based. All the kits you've seen here, I actually own each and every one of them, which can manipulate wireless networks. The one on the left bottom there, which is one of the interesting ones that I use a lot, it's just a cable. So if people who are working from home decide to go to coffee shops, if I give that cable to you to charge, I can trigger anything on your laptop about almost 300 meters away. Now imagine having that, because you're not going to stay home to work all the time and you want to go to other places. Hackers are taking advantage of such a thing to be able to plant malwares into people's machines, their home machines, that is, or what they use to work remotely, and using that as a way to be able to get into their private offices. The one with the crazy radio can intercept traffic between the mouse or the keyboard and the computer, so I don't even need to get close too much. I don't need to interact with you to be able to actually trigger that. Kind of the things that we are looking at as a focus when we're looking at personal security at home and the likes, because that translates into into the corporate entity. But I think April is going to cover that, so I'm not going too much into it. It's threat detection. How do we make sure that working from home, and now that we have our personal device at home, threat detection is taken care of? Security device management, enterprise security monitoring of your entire network, and of course, vulnerability management. Key focus areas, I'll put corporate and personal into one perspective because they're both tied to each other. There's insider threat. That is still becoming a very difficult thing for people to actually understand, because them being at home, is easy for them to be able to you're having people who are in the office and they have direct access to systems of which you don't know exactly what they're doing. Now that you're not in the house, and some people don't have VPN or a centralized way of being monitored when it comes to the solutions they're using, allows them to be able to make changes that maybe nobody is watching on a network level. We have external threats, of course. We have email security, which is business email compromise. And with this, I'll let you even demonstrate something of that in the active monitoring that has been done in incident response. Been very difficult for organizations to take care of, and actual intelligent mitigation controls. Incremental backups have not been done. A lot of people never knew they could actually back up their systems before the pandemic, and now working from home. And I talk about it with personal backup and the business continuity strategy and alignment as well. So I'm just going to take you through a very short presentation, or rather demonstration to show. Oh, I had asked for somebody's email. Could somebody share a Gmail account with me, for example? But as that is happening, I want to show you how bad the internet can be. First of all, as I sat here, I try to see exactly what kind of cameras can I see in South Africa. It's a people's home in South Africa right now that you basically can log in. You can actually get into to change a few things here and there. And you can see people's and actually get into their houses. Same thing if I was to the connection is. So basically what I'm trying to talk about is a basic search of Google, where you say you want to search for every Gmail, Yahoo password, which has the word account and Netflix and a password, and the extension of the file is 2019. But that's not the focus of today, because with that you can get people's password and you can search for specific people's details that are being compromised. So could somebody share with me their email account details? So I wrote this very small script to be able to see how I can fool people's email addresses. And what this usually happens is being able to send an email from one person to the other. So if somebody can share with me, let me see the chat room. Nobody can share with me password? I mean, an email address. Oh, I've seen one here. So I'm going to take Raymond's account and say, I'm sending, using that. He's not going to see this email even in his outbox. I'll send it to myself. And what I want to do is to say presentation SSA. I will be the sponsor for the day. So basically what I'm trying to do is to abuse what you call SPF and DMARC records. A lot of that is happening to people at home where their SPF and DMARC records for organizations are being spoofed. So they can force an email to come from anybody. And that comes usually, this is not well crafted. And if I go to my email, we'll see if the email has come through. And there it is. So he did not send this email. And if he had a picture, his picture is actually there. Raymond, I'm actually going to reply to you. Thank you very much. And this email, when I reply to Raymond right now, he's going to get it. But in his outbox, he wouldn't have seen the first email. Now, the indicator of compromise or the indicator of attack here is sent by a sender. I basically registered at the API that I wrote a script to be able to do that. And that has happened to so many people quite easily for them to be able to be spoofed or compromised in terms of corporate organizations. To make this even a little bit better, sometimes what we run, I run a very simple phishing script, which basically is going to what people fall for a lot, which is what WhatsApp. Let me say, yeah, WhatsApp, and I'll say title is C3SA. Picture, I'll use one that I have already. It can be any picture, by the way. When that picture gets to be set up, it sends a link to you, which looks like this. Now, I could either send this link to the person directly, like what I just sent to Raymond, or basically try to even use a link shortener to be able to make sure that I can get him to believe this email is actually true. But when you say join chat, for example, or whatever it is, or if it's something juicy, say check this group for pictures. The first thing you're gonna do is allow location. This could be a Google account. If I use Gmail, Google Drive, it will actually show you a folder which has pictures in it. And once you say click on allow, it tells you that the capacity has been reached. Yet in the background, I can tell everything about this person's laptop, details, where he is, this is where I am right now in Ghana for the day. And with this location details, I can find out within a kilometer radius, 1,000 people who have been tweeting around this area, what phone they use, what type of website they've been going to, all the social media profiles, all because of just one person clicking on it. So I could have gone on with a few more demonstrations, but I'm not going to go too much into it. I want to get into mitigation processes. However, before I leave, this is something which I have pre-recorded to show exactly what is happening to people. Just the way I faked that email from Raymond to come to me, this is something that I've sent on the right. You can see I sent a document to myself. Most of this come as a zip file, and that zip file is because they don't want Google or your email security solution to scan a file that has been attached with a password. So with that, I'll set up my what to call a command and control, which is basically just waiting for a connection. And I will go download that file. File that has been downloaded is password protected. So hackers try to do this to make sure that you download it into your machine instead of running it in the background. And if you open that file, it contains a macro. Let's see the file. a macro-enabled kind of malwares that are going around is the same way ransomware was spreading. So I've been studying a lot of ransomwares, and I decided, you know what, why don't I just create something similar to that attack? So the file has been extracted, as you can see here, is called blank, and we can see what you open. So when you open such a ransomware, that the macro in there goes to call another malware from somewhere else and runs in memory. And I'm still sure you've all seen this where it says enable editing or enable macro after that. And when they say enable macro, to enable content for macro to run, you can't even if you're somebody who is very skillful, you might not be able to read the macro content because it's hidden, it's password protected. Once the person has done that, just going to download one file from the internet. That file that has been downloaded, which is an HTA, allows to run on computers, goes to download another file, and the last one is an executable malware. That happens a lot to many people, and you can't even see what the macro is all enabled about. And with that, I can do anything. It shows that I have a connection to this person's machine, and I can run anything on that person's machine, such as, let me just try to show you. I'm forwarding it because of time. What I basically want to do is to run a command on that person saying, I want to let something pop up on that person's screen, and which is just a pop-up. Otherwise, as you can see, it says hacked, hello hacked. Otherwise, I could activate the camera, the mic in the background, download anything just because of a simple Excel sheet. So we have been thinking about cybersecurity for a very long time, which is about protection, detection, and response. Cyber resilience, as Dr. Laba said at the beginning, is about being able to add two other elements, being able to identify some of these vulnerabilities before you actually have them, and how do you recover quickly. So cyber resilience is all about those 5 elements. Some of the things, safety tips to remember for people who use machines at home is to have a password phrase. A password phrase with spaces in there, because password crackers don't usually understand the character of a space being a character. Last is to be able to make sure you change your password quite often. And I know majority of you are going to say, how can I remember all these passwords as often? You can't. That's why you need password manager like LastPass, Bitwarden, or 1Password, that they can securely store all the passwords in one security place. Don't use the information that can be seen used about you online very easily. Please don't share passwords with people online. Don't store your passwords on the browser as well, because there's some what we call browser exploitation frameworks that allows us to be able to extract those passwords that are saved in the browser. And as part of the social security number or your national ID, birth date, and personal data when creating those passwords. If you're going to work on a wireless network hotspot with your phone, that is more secure, and you can also use with a VPN if you have to. Avoid using public computers, even at your friends. Download legitimate applications, and don't click on attachments which are password zipped, and also have ad blockers. Last but not the least, too much information about you online can be used against you. Keep your personal security private and safe, and back up your files, and have anti-malware solutions such as Windows Defender activated, ESET, or CrowdStrike. So with that, I'll say thank you very much. I know my time is up, and sorry for the network problem. Dr. Laban, over back to you.